What's up, Pickleheads? Welcome to Picklehead Podcast. Today on the podcast, we're super excited to have Evan Slaughter. You may know him as Fit2serve. He has the funniest pickleball content as well as other content on Instagram and social media. We're excited to have him here with us, kind of share his story. Evan, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming on. Hey, we wanted to start with, if you can, maybe give us a little bit of your background, where you're from. I know you have some military experience. I know some of that experience kind of drove you to happiness through, I'll let you explain it. Can you kind of take us back to the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. So originally, born and raised in Alabama, born in kind of a southern part of Alabama called Montgomery, and then shortly after being born, me and my brother, I've got an older brother, parents had us, and then moved to Birmingham, where it was just a little bit more going on, bigger city, so more of an opportunity for my dad to get a better job and that kind of stuff. And so grew up in Alabama, just typical, I guess, middle class, lifestyle. Kind of got into, went to college in Nashville at a little school called Lipscomb, which is actually a little private Christian college there. And started kind of studying exercise sciences, was into that for, most of my early 20s. And then ended up moving back to Birmingham, where a friend opened a gym. And I started personal training and doing what I was going to school for. So after a little while of doing that, I don't know what it was about it, but I just felt like, joining the military. I was in good shape at the time and just wanted to try something new, I guess. So I joined the Army as an infantryman, and that was about 2010, and then got out in 2014 and came back to Alabama. So
cool. And you, I think I saw on some of your posts, you were in Afghanistan for a little while also. Or was that?
Yeah.
Were you there for the 4 years that you were in?
No, so we, did 4 years in the military. A year of that was in Afghanistan. And that was from 2011 to 2012. Ended up getting injured in Afghanistan. We hit an IED, and I was the gunner in the truck that hit the bomb. It was basically in the middle of the desert, and blew our truck up and kind of jacked my ankle up and had some other injuries. But ultimately, I was okay. I was able to stay, finish the deployment, and then whenever I got back to Fort Hood after we finished the deployment, the year-long deployment, ended up just not re-enlisting, just having issues from being injured and all that kind of stuff, and figured it was time to kind of get out after that.
Gotcha. For those that don't know, IED is improvised explosive device. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So, improvised explosive device. Basically a homemade bomb.
Wow, that must have been an experience. And what was it like for you coming back to civilian life? I mean, we've only seen movies. We don't have that experience. And thank you for your service, by the way. What was it like coming back?
I appreciate it. It was tough. I mean, I didn't see it at the time, and it's kind of one of those things that when you're in, while you're experiencing it, it's kind of hard to. Like, I look back now and go, oh, okay, this is where I was struggling. This is what I was struggling with. This is ways I was demonstrating having issues transitioning from deployment back to civilian life. It's easier to see that now, but kind of when you're in it, it's harder, I guess, to recognize. So it was tough, just like different things from being able to drive again, like driving over there in a combat, area is a lot different than coming back over here and just trying to drive and obey the traffic laws. I think I ended up, I got so many speeding tickets that my license ended up getting suspended. And it was just from me, like, instinctually, as soon as I got in the car, it was like I was on this mission to get from point A to point B as fast and as aggressively as I could, because that's how you drove over there, So those are kind of some simpler ways, I guess, you can kind of notice it. But it took a little while to kind of transition back to like, okay, you're back home now. You know, I mean, once you do a year in a foreign country, especially one you're at war with, it's just a whole different lifestyle. You know what I mean? So just transitioning back to being able to live life normally and not have some of the same worries and the same anxieties that you have whenever you're deployed was probably the biggest challenge.
Gotcha. Yeah, we don't have any military experience, but we've both lived in other countries for a little while. So I lived in Mexico for a couple of years. Austin lived in England for a couple of years. And speaking for myself, I'll let Austin speak for himself. Even that was a transition. For us, I mean, you're going from just a completely different lifestyle to another, and it seems like everybody expects you to just be like normal right away when it's like everything happens at once, and it's really hard to be normal. I remember my mom told me, like, she's like, the first 6 months you were back, you were just weird. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But over time, you know, that it got easier and got better. But I would imagine with military experience, I know, and we've heard, there's a lot of people that have experienced PTSD. Does that affect you at all? Is that kind of, I guess what I'm asking, is that what kind of geared you towards happiness through laughter? Was that kind of your medicine to try to get back into civilian life?
Yeah, I think that was definitely the start of it. You know, kind of on and off throughout life as well. I had struggled with some opiate addiction, and just, you know, and it really flared up after the military, after getting injured, because then I was being prescribed a lot of different medications, and it was just easy for me to try to, I guess, you know, go through life medicated, you know, and that worked for a little while. You know, it handled a lot of the issues I guess I was having, but then it eventually stops working, you know, and you can't really experience life or enjoy life whenever you're, you know, controlled by various medications. So that was a big part of it too. It was like, once I got out of the military, now I've got to, you know, now I've got to figure out how to live life again. And I can't live life just on and off different medications. I've got to figure that part out too. And so the struggle of going on and off medication, trying to get off of it, trying, you know, back on it, just that whole struggle eventually led me to a place where it was like, man, I gotta figure out what makes me happy in life. You know, I gotta figure out how to genuinely be happy without being, you know, having to take medicine or having to do this or having to do, you know, I got to figure out what works. And so that's how I kind of came back to comedy. You know, I had tried some different civilian jobs and had some success at it, but just ultimately wasn't truly happy with doing it, you know, miserable getting up and going to work kind of thing. And then I started playing around with social media, and comedy had always been a big part of my life. Always was kind of the class clown or the funny one growing up, you know, and once I started kind of putting some of these videos out, it started out just for me because I enjoyed it. If I wasn't making anybody laugh, at least I was having fun and making myself laugh in the process. And then, you know, luckily some of the videos had, you know, people started to relate to, and then it just kind of took off. So that was definitely a big part of it, though, for sure.
And how long have you had your page? Because you have, 70-something thousand followers now. How long have you had it?
Yeah, so I got serious about it in about spring of 2022, so it's really only been a year. I mean, I was messing around, you know, had social media accounts, but not where I'm doing what I'm doing now. And then, like, spring of 2022, I sold some real estate, which helped me kind of fill that gap from working to doing the full-time social media stuff. So I was fortunate in that aspect. But I got serious about it spring of 2022. So it hasn't really been that long since I really went after it, trying to do it full-time.
Yeah, that to people it looks like instant success, but it's a grind having to post every day, because that's part of what it is you have to create your content and you have to post every day. Otherwise, it's never going to grow. But yeah, for people, they're like, oh, he only started it in May. He's lucky. But it's like, no, you've been dedicated to posting every day. How many posts do you have on there?
So I started out TikTok is what I had the most success at first originally.
Okay.
And TikTok had just had kind of its ups and downs, I was trying to figure out, TikTok's such a different beast. It really is. Like, what works there doesn't always work on other places. But I had some stuff kind of get successful on TikTok. But I was posting 4 times a day. I remember I had watched this video that, Gary Vee had put out, and he was talking about 4 times a day is the number, So for a while there, especially, before spring of 2022, I was like grinding, putting stuff out 4 times a day, trying to come up with original stuff that's, 4 posts a day. That's a ton.
Yeah.
And then once Instagram started taking off, I realized that I'm just really kind of hurting myself now with posting so much, for my type of sketch comedy deal, So I was able to back it back down. But I mean, still, even 1 post a day is a lot. I think I maybe have 300 and something posts on Instagram, which isn't a ton compared to the amount of followers I have. But I kind of keep it that way a little bit on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to just overdo it with too much stuff. So
You're more so focused on posting valuable content, funny content that people are actually going to resonate with rather than just throwing a ton of stuff out there with Instagram.
Yeah. And it takes a little pressure off to come up with something new all the time, especially in the sketch comedy realm, because you can kind of repeat the same type of comedy over and over and over. And then if you do that too much, I think people are going to get maybe turned off by it. So I try to keep enough out there to where I'm getting in front of people and growing, but not to where it's like beating a dead horse, I guess you could say.
Right. And you said you were the class clown. You grew up as the class clown. And so it's something that has come natural to you, you could say. But yeah, and it looks like it comes natural to you just based off of us watching it because it's hilarious. But when did you start getting into pickleball, and adding pickleball into your content? Has it been since May, or did you start getting into it later?
No, so I started playing it recreationally, I guess at the end of 2021 was really, late 2021. A friend of mine introduced me to it, and then I kind of got hooked. Got to where I was playing regularly and loving it and that kind of stuff. And then when I started the videos around it, it was really just kind of not even planned or on purpose. I was having some success doing the fitness videos. You've probably seen some of the fitness comedy videos, or I started this little theme of like your friend that just started working out again, or your friend that just got into running again, or and those videos were doing great. And so I was just thinking one day, I was like, well, I'm going to do your friend that just started playing pickleball, because there's always that new person, that, and it's basically me. It's like, I'm that person. Like if I get into something, I usually go in head, all the way in. I got to have all the gear. I got to have the best paddle. I got to have the best bag. I got to have the best, I go in all the way. And so that's kind of what that series of videos was poking fun of, was just, the person that just jumps right into something. And that's how I felt about myself doing pickleball. So I made a video doing that, and it did really well on TikTok and Instagram. So much so that I didn't realize how big pickleball was getting. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anything about the professional side of it. I didn't know anything about, how far people really go with pickleball. But I found out because all these companies started reaching out like, oh, we love your videos. You got to make some videos for us. Can we send you a paddle? Can we send you this? Different news outlets. Pickleball Union was a big one to first jump on my content and hire me to make 20 videos for them. So I spent the next 2 or 3 months hired by them.
Cool.
As they're kind of like a pickleball news blog startup. They were like, we'd love for you to do some videos. So I did like 20 videos for them. And so that lasted a few months. And that just got me further into the pickleball scene. You know what I mean? So It's funny how it worked out. But
So is this your full-time gig now? I know you talked about it a little bit before. Are you still working on the side with something else, or is this it?
This is it, man. I'm all into the social media thing. I've been fortunate. Yeah, that's another thing I tell people too. I'm single. I don't have any kids, so that makes it a little easier. It's not like I'm having to provide for a family doing this. I can kind of just look out, for me. But I still had to reach a certain point where it made sense for me to do it full time, and that has happened. So that's good. So I do it full time, and a lot of that has been because of the pickleball deals I've gotten. Like with Valair, they were another one to reach out and sign me for 2 years to do exclusive Valair paddle content. So that definitely helped out.
Yeah, that's so cool. You won't be single for long, especially with your social media and how fun you are.
Yeah.
Workout plan.
I seem to recall some recent ones where I'm just dying laughing.
Yeah.
What was it? Maybe and you can tell me. I'm sorry, I don't have it here in front of me, but it just sparked it. It's basically you trying to impress that girl who's interested in pickleball, guys, and it just makes me laugh even just thinking about it. So going back a little bit, you can tell that it's organic. You can tell that you're naturally funny. I would assume, that all growing up, and I know that you mentioned Class Clown, that you're naturally funny, because if I tried to go make a page that was consistently funny, maybe even one video that was funny, I don't think it would come out as well, or not even close to as well. But I think that's what's really cool about you is it's organic. Do you write your own skits? Do you have someone help you out with that? What do you study? What do you look at to try and make things funnier? Or is it just like, hey, this came to my mind, this is going to be funny, and for some reason, like, every video ends up being funny? But what do you do on your end?
I appreciate that. So I write my own stuff. I actually film and edit my own stuff too, which has been kind of part of the process. Every now and then I'll have somebody that does help with the camera work, but I like the editing part of it so much because I think that's what ultimately makes it funny. It's like it's edited in a way to where that's a huge part of the comedy. The slow zooms, the slow-mo, the wind and the hair, all the aspects that go into it, are a huge part of it. So definitely the editing has been huge. But no, I just, I watch a lot of comedy stuff. I'm a big Danny McBride fan, his stuff. Of course, I love shows like The Office, all these different things. But none of my stuff really, comes from so much from what I'm watching there. A big part of it, too, is like music. So I do kind of a couple different types. I've got the sketch stuff where I'm talking and I'm there's no music and it's animated and then there's a whole, script to it, I guess. But then there's the ones like the video you referenced where it's like, when she says she only dates pickleball players, and that's like no words. It's just the right music with the right videos and, cuts to this and that with the right editing. So sometimes I'll just be listening to music or driving in the car and a song will come on and then immediately an idea comes to my mind. Like I could see me doing this to this song and I'll kind of go with that, but, the script stuff is it takes a little bit more thought. But once I've done enough, like whenever I referenced your friend that just started, that turned into a whole series for me, where I was able to make a bunch of different kind of videos off of that idea. So sometimes I'll take like similar ideas and then tweak it just enough to where it's different, but sort of the same style of comedy, I guess.
Yeah, and keep that same style, man, because I found myself a couple times lost on your Instagram page where I'll just watch one after the other, and then all of a sudden an hour goes by. And some of them aren't pickleball related either.
Yeah.
My aunt actually when I first was introduced to you, she had sent me something on Instagram, and it was of you when you're explaining pickleball, and you're like, when I go forward, you go back. And
Yeah.
even to some of my friends, I'm like, when I go forward, you go back. I'm just laughing thinking about it now. Anyway, I think pickleball definitely needs this. And now it has it. So thank you for making us laugh, man. It's an absolute blast. And then on the pickleball, have you played any pickleball tournaments? Do you like to play doubles? Do you like to play singles? Do you just mainly play recreationally? On that side of us, tell us a little bit about your actual pickleball game.
Yeah, so I definitely, recreationally, that's how I'm playing now. I like doubles a lot more than singles because I'm not near in as good a shape as it was what's required. I'm trying to enjoy it and still get a little bit of a workout out of it. I haven't done any tournaments yet. I think if I were to because I am like working to get in better shape and all that kind of stuff. I think if I do that and accomplish that and I get to, I think that, I could see myself entering a tournament. I grew up playing racquetball. My dad was a big racquetball guy. That was big for my parents' age. So I remember as a kid or a teenager getting racquetball stuff kind of for Christmas and going to the racquetball courts and playing racquetball with my dad and his friends. So when I picked up a pickleball paddle, it reminded me a little bit of that, just the eye-hand coordination that it takes to just like people come from tennis to pickleball. So I felt comfortable doing it, and I think I could compete in some local tournaments if I were in better shape. You watch the sport, you watch the pros play, they make it look so easy, like everybody, like any other sport. And then you go out there and you do it and you're like, dang, like I'm gassed. So the cardio side is a big deterrent for why I'm not, going after the tournaments right now. But yeah, definitely love it and love the camaraderie, love the exercise part of it too. And I would be interested in doing some tournaments just to see how I compared, I think, with other local players.
And one of your posts, real quick, before I give Austin the time, just related to this, it was January of this year. This time you talked about like why happiness through laughter. You talked a little bit about why you picked fit2serve as your handle, and I'm sure military had a little bit to do with it. But you talked about serving others, which is really important to both of us too. It was a very inspiring post. You're not just posting comedy on there. Like that really inspired me and stuck out to me. Can you talk to us about fit2serve, that handle, why you chose that, and explain it to the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that is kind of like, there's meaning to it as well. I talk about making the comedy stuff, but ultimately it's like, yeah, I can make you laugh and we can have fun doing that, but there's got to be more to it, and that's what I figured out for myself. It's like, I think I've gone through life a lot of times just laughing my way through scenarios, but there's times where you can't just be funny about everything, you know what I mean? So that was kind of part of my journey into this whole finding peace and finding a purpose on this earth after I got out of the military and all that kind of stuff. And that was a big part of it, was serving other people. And I found out that, for me, fit2serve means that I'm fit, that we're all fit in some way to serve other people, whatever that looks like. So it doesn't mean that you have to be physically fit by any means. It just means that we're all capable, we're all qualified, we're all born in some way gifted to serve other people. And that looks like a lot of different things. So for me, like the service part of it is a big part of what contributes to my happiness and my peace today, because I get so much out of serving other people. And I found out that through these videos and making people laugh, that was a way for me to serve others. So like you have people that are in great shape, and maybe their way of serving is by helping those that aren't in good shape, or I reference school teachers a lot because that's something that I just could never see myself doing. I couldn't imagine right now being in a third grade classroom with a bunch of screaming, kids. I would lose my mind, but there's people that were born and are capable and gifted even, at being teachers, you know. So we're all fit to serve, and for me, that's why, you know, that's what my page is about. You know, if you come to the page because I made you laugh or whatever, stay, because, you know, we're trying to find some purpose on this life through service to others.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that's awesome. That I like what you said, that you can't be funny all the time. And I've been around people that have to be funny all the time, and it's not an enjoyable person to be around, because it's too much, and you never know when they're being serious and when they're joking, and it just tends to be just uncomfortable all around. But that's really cool that you have serious stuff in your content that actually brings value to people in a different way other than laughter. Because, yeah, like Spencer said, it brought value to us. He shared the video with me, and I was like, yeah, this is sick. This is really, really good for people. So, you're wearing Mr. Andiamo's shirt over there. We want to hear...
Yeah, Julian.
We want to hear how that came about. I assume they reached out to you through Instagram, and how that sponsorship works. You don't have to go into, obviously, details where your contract is not talked about, but yeah, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. Valaire's been awesome. So I was getting so many, just paddle companies and merch, pickleball merch companies and all these things, but a lot of paddle companies reaching out saying, hey, we'd love to send you some paddles. Can you collab with us on our paddle? And I was telling them, like, yeah, I would love to. I literally probably have had 10 to 15 different paddle companies send paddles, and it would be like 2 or 3 at a time paddles, so I was just getting bombarded with, which isn't, I'm not complaining. I was giving a lot to my friends and saying, hey, this company sent some, so that was cool. But it got to where they were, they were paying me for collabs, and I would have to tell them up front, like, hey, I don't mind doing that for you, but just know that I've got no exclusivity deal with anybody. So if you see me advertising another paddle on another video a week later, if you're cool with that, we can move forward. But I'm just being upfront with you that that's probably going to happen. So Valaire had reached out, sent some paddles, and I didn't know much about Valaire or Julian Arnold or any of that stuff. I was just learning about the pro pickleball scene. But then he reached back out and was like, hey, would love to do some stuff with you. And I said, honestly, man, that sounds great. I said, I'm not really doing any affiliate type deals because it just isn't worth it. It's like, hey, use this code for, 10% off. And then I would see 10% of a, $150 paddle sale, which is like $1.50 if my math is right, or whatever, $15 or whatever it is. And so might as well be $1. No. So I just told him, I said, not to be offensive or anything, I'm just not into, I said, what I'm looking for. And this was, this is important because if there's anybody listening that's trying to do social media stuff or trying to figure out how you make money doing this, it's like part of that was me being bold enough to ask what I wanted. A lot of times these companies, they want to do deals, but if you're not asking for it, they're going to take whatever they can get, at the cheapest amount.
And be confident in what you know you
I had
have.
to start. Exactly. Yeah, the confidence comes right along with it. So I knew that from all these companies reaching out, I had something that these people wanted. So I was just up front with Valaire. I said, hey, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to get paid long term to represent one paddle company. You know what I mean? I said, so if y'all are offering anything like that, I would love to talk to you. And he came right back. I think we had a contract signed within a week of that conversation, because he said, we would love that, with you. So just have it. And they've been so cool about just letting me still do the content that I'm comfortable doing. They took me out to the MLP Daytona event that was a couple months ago. That was really cool, So it's been a wild ride growing with them, but at least for the next couple of years, I'll be representing the Valaire guys out there. So,
yeah, that's so cool that it's a 2-year contract too. So they're really committed, and so are you. So it must have been a good deal.
Yeah. Well, it had to include some growth in there because in 2 years we could have 1 million followers. I don't know, you know what I mean? So I had to figure that out, and we talked through it and made it, made it work. So
shut me down if you can't talk about it. I don't want to know specific numbers, but I am curious to see how that growth looks with percentages.
Yeah, so the best way to do it is benchmarks, That's what I've learned, because I have to have these conversations with people that have done this as well, like, hey, at 100,000 followers, you're making this much. At 200,000, you're making this much. At 500,000, you're making that, So if we reach that fast, then I'm at the top price tier, let's say 1 million plus followers is the best I'll get paid per month. If I get to that million fast, that means that the duration of the contract would be at that new, So that's because I didn't have any clue either. And honestly, the guys at Belair were new to this too. They had signed pro players and stuff like that, but never something with an influencer or whatever, like our relationship is. So I had to learn about that process too.
What's interesting, so I have the page Pickleball Playbook, and that's what I reached out to you on. And I'll have companies that reach out and they'll say, hey, we'll send you this cool new bag, and in return, will you just do a review of it? I was like, no. my minimum is such and such price, and I'll do it for you. But it's like, I don't need another pickleball bag or something like that, or something random. I have tons of those, right? And I think that it's a good point that you brought up, that you need to tell them like what your value is, which is what I've been doing for the last month or so. Before that, I'd be like, send me all the stuff. They'd be like, I have this cool new case. So they send me the case, and then I do a quick story for them. And it's like, I haven't seen the case since. I haven't used it, I don't need more stuff.
Right.
So I think that's important. That's really, really cool. So that's valuable to me, and it's going to be valuable to a lot of people that listen to this as well, that want to get into stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure you have had multiple people come up to you that have been like, hey, how did you get into social media? I really want to start doing that. I've had multiple people come up to me, and they feel like, because they live by me, that they need to approve it with me. Like, hey, just so you know, like, I'm going to start making some pickleball videos as well. I've been wanting to do that with my page, but it's like, you don't need to approve it with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's free country, free world, do whatever you want. But I think that's a really, really good point. So yeah, that was very valuable for me to hear as well. So thank you.
Yeah. And so a lot of that was strategy too. Like, I've had companies that have a large, a big product, want to send me one. For example, Ice Barrel. You guys do any cold plunging or into Ice Barrel? I mean, that's like a free ice barrel. Well, that's a $1,300 product, and it's something that I want, but also it's like the reason I bring that up is like, take some of the opportunities, if someone's wanting to exchange a product, be strategic about it, or do it one time for them. Like, hey, I really want this product. I'll do that for you in exchange for a product, and then see where it leads. You know what I mean? Belair, when they originally reached out, they just wanted to send some paddles. And, the whole, and if you use it in a video, great. Well, I was at the time, getting so many paddles, and I was using them in videos on purpose for free, so that companies would see like, oh, this guy's capable of making a decent little video for us here. I had a t-shirt company one time send me a t-shirt. I made a video for them, and it has over 2 million views on TikTok, and I did it for free, but it led to a relationship, that was, turned out to be good. So, it's just a whole game. I'm surprised at how many people I meet too that are like, how do you even make money doing social media? And it's like, what do you mean? That's like where everybody's, advertising products and looking at things and all that kind of, it's just like being on TV sometimes, you're making modern day advertisements for these people. There's good money to be made. You just have to learn how to be strategic about it,
And you got to start somewhere, like how you were saying.
Right.
Evan, I'm going to take another turn here, but speaking of like cold plunging, and then, so my wife and I have been cold plunging a lot lately, and I love it.
Good.
I feel like it helps me mentally more than anything. Physically, it's
Yes.
nice because I exercise a lot, but mentally, it's a big thing for me. And so is exercise. I'm kind of an endurance junkie. I'm wondering what your fitness goals are. I know that you've mentioned those recently and in the past on your podcast. And are those mental and physical goals? As in, do you want to exercise so that you can be healthier here? Do you want to exercise so that your overall, fitness can be better? Is it both? Talk to us just a little bit about your goals.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and it's one that I've had to figure out the answer for myself, because there's been times in my life where I've been in very good shape. A lot of people don't know that, and I don't advertise it a ton. But I was studying exercise science in college. I was a personal trainer. I was in the military, went through special forces selection. I've done a lot of things where I was in great physical shape. But then I kind of learned, like, as I got out of shape, a lot of how I felt and about myself depended on how I thought I looked. So I think a lot of, like, whenever I got out of shape, it was like I had to learn how to love myself no matter what, which became important to me. Like, that's why I do so many videos. Like, I'm comfortable taking my shirt off, even though I'm not what typical people with their shirt off on Instagram look like, or, because I've learned to love myself, and that's been such a strength for me. So definitely now that has led me to a place where, okay, I love myself for who I am, no matter what I look or feel like, or whatever. I just love myself, and I'm enjoying life again. And because of that love for myself, now it's like I want to take care of myself. I want to be healthy again. So that has led me back to wanting to be in shape. So, for me, it's just all of it. Trying to live a healthier lifestyle, wanting to feel good again, and feel good in my body, and be able to move and have longevity to life. So I don't have any specific, there's a certain amount of weight that I guess I want to lose and that kind of stuff, but I've been focusing on not trying to get just focused on a number on a scale or how I look physically or this or that, but just taking it kind of one day at a time. It's funny because I do a lot of CrossFit humor videos too. And I've just recently, because of that, I've been invited to a lot of CrossFit gyms. And one of the local gyms, some fans, the guy that owns it's a big fan of the content, and he invited me out, and now I'm going to that CrossFit gym regularly and actually doing some of I think I've been going for a little over a week now. But the ice barrel thing came about because of the CrossFit videos. And what's funny is, I think May 2nd, I go to Nashville with Ice Barrel to do some CrossFit, or do some videos with Ice Barrel that are going to be played in the CrossFit semifinals coming up in a couple weeks. So it's just funny how all this led together. And then you see the pickleball community and the CrossFit community kind of merging at the same time. I don't know if that's happening where y'all are at, but I've seen so many gyms, CrossFit gyms, where they either have a pickleball court, in the back of the gym or something like that, or they're getting together and playing. And so it's like these two areas where I've been doing all this content and trying to, get in shape, but having, doing CrossFit videos and then playing pickleball. It's like they're starting to merge now. So I know I kind of answered your question and talked a little bit more there about the two things, but it's just funny, like how me trying to get in shape and doing the CrossFit stuff, and then me doing the pickleball stuff, it's like now they're starting to merge. So we'll see where that goes for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Works out good.
It works out nicely. I'm thinking about like some of our, and that makes sense. Like we have a Lifetime gym down the road, and they've put courts in. I know that Lifetime all around the country. They fit really well together.
Yeah.
Definitely, and in a lot of situations you need to be fit to play pickleball or to play it at a high level. But I like what you said about, to me, and I've had this conversation with friends and families, look is not the important thing to be happy with yourself. I like to see that someone is trying, and I always say, never get on the scale. If you have fitness goals and you're trying to get healthier, in my opinion, don't get on the scale. That's not what we're measuring. We're measuring, your heart. We're measuring you putting the effort out there, you trying to eat healthy. It's not specifically just look, but for me, again, mentally, it's huge. Exercise, cold plunging,
Yeah.
Running early in the morning when it's dark outside. Those are all things for me that mentally, and I try to do them early in the morning so that later on in the day, I can say, all right, I already did the hardest thing today. I'm mentally strong. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing this. And not focus so much on how you look or what it says on the scale. I mean, I've looked at really skinny people too, sorry to call anybody out, that are like the most unhealthy people in the world. They don't eat any food, and they're going to wither away. And, maybe they can't do exercise. But anyway, I like your outlook on it, and I think mentally it can help a lot of people to love themselves and just do their best, right? And in the process, we go back to fit to serve, serving others and helping others also do well, helping others try to reach their fitness goals, whatever they are, or not just fitness goals, whatever the goals might be. So you probably weren't expecting this from us, but after scrolling through the majority of your videos, multiple times for some, yes, a lot of laughs, but also a lot of inspiration.
Valuable content.
Yeah, it's like you have both, and it's organic, and it's real. So I would suggest anyone who hasn't or is not following Fit to Serve. I think on Instagram it's fit, the number 2, so FIT, the number 2, serve. 1?
Fit to Serve, 1 on Instagram, and then Fit to Serve on TikTok. Yep.
So for anyone that wants to be inspired, anyone wants to laugh, anyone that loves pickleball, anyone that wants to, the CrossFit side of things, exercise, be happy with yourself, happiness through laughter. I know I saw one of your shirts recently. I think that's a great phrase. Talk to us a little bit about happiness through laughter, if you can. I know for me, if I'm in a dark place, typically that's when I'm like running up a mountain or running a hard track and it's dark outside and I'm tired. For me, if I put a smile on while I'm doing it, it like coaches my brain to like, hey, I'm happy. I'm in an okay place, right? And I got out of that place. That's how stupid your brain is. Yeah. You can trick your brain by just putting a smile on. Yeah, by putting a smile on. It's like, oh, I'm happy
just
now.
Smiling.
So Spencer will run every morning. He gets up at like 4. I live in Utah. So it's 5 o'clock where I'm at, and sometimes I'll get up early, and we're texting each other, and I'm like, what in the world is this guy doing up? But he loves running. I hate running. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I love pickleball, and so for me, my exercise every day or multiple times a week is pickleball, and I think it's finding something that you love doing, that you can enjoy, that also challenges you. Pickleball, there's that constant progression. I want to get better, get better, get better, get better. Same with running.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he loves about it, is how it makes him feel after it's over. For pickleball, for me, it makes me feel really good as I'm progressing and getting better. And I've played a tournament now. I won the tournament. I feel really good after. But it's just like reaching and achieving those goals. What was your question?
Yeah, and I guess basically my question is finding happiness in what you're doing. What is it that you do on your end to maybe coach your brain? Or, and I don't know if you do, maybe it just comes naturally to you to try to lift yourself from maybe a feeling of darkness or a feeling of, I don't really feel like moving today, to getting out there and making some of the most hilarious comedy in the world, and at the same time, just enjoying it.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because what's funny about it is, like, it takes effort to get into that mind frame of, like, all right, now I got to go be funny. I don't feel like it today, or I've got this going on, like, now I got to go do something to be funny. But doing it as a job now definitely has a different perspective on it. It's like I can look at it, even though I enjoy doing it and all that kind of stuff. And it's something the first time in a long time, I think I've actually done something for work that I actually love and don't think of it as work. You still have to kind of like turn it on, So a lot of that comes from just the fact, like what you guys are saying, reminding me that there's an inspiring aspect to the stuff that I do. I get so many messages from people that, like with the fitness thing, I was making these funny workout videos. It was never originally intended to be something that actually helped people get back in shape or start. But I was getting so many messages from people that were like, hey, I know this is, just being funny or whatever, but me and my son who's overweight, we get up and we actually follow along and do your videos and the little workout videos and stuff like that. And it made me think, I was like, man, like people are actually, doing this because, they might need whatever it takes to inspire them to just get up and move again. That's how I started doing it. I just wanted to get, I had to get to a place where I just wanted to move again. And then that led me exploring more and pushing myself more and getting back to the gym and all that stuff. So if that's all it takes is a little funny video, that's where the idea of like this happiness through laughter, positivity through laughter comes from. It's like you're laughing at the video. Maybe that's what brought you here. It's funny. If that's all it does for you, fine. But we're also spreading some positivity through that laughter. So it's like people are coming here and they're laughing, but some of the people are actually getting up and laughing themselves back to going to the gym,
Yeah.
or laughing themselves back to whatever it is that they were wanting to do again. And so that's where the whole idea came from. So what motivates me is that right there, just the audience that are being inspired and being motivated by the content. You know what I mean? Like if that's all I did was make people laugh, great. But it's so much more than that for a lot of people, And so that's been motivating in and of itself for me.
Just building off of what you said, I think it's important to do hard things every single day. And I have the best days when I do the hardest things first. So I'll take a cold shower typically in the morning after I play pickleball. So I'll go have some fun.
Yeah.
And then I have to punish myself real quick. And I'll take a cold shower, and I feel like that cold shower just clears out all my sinuses. And it's something challenging to do that makes the rest of my day just that much better, because it feels like everything else is easier than that cold shower. Could you share with us, this is just the last thing we want to go over, could you share with us what's most important to you in your life? What's the most important thing that you could share with all of our listeners?
Or things if you struggle picking just one.
Yeah. What's most important to you?
Yeah, so the most important thing I think for me is living a life where I don't feel, and I don't know if I'll find the right words for this, so often at times in my life, especially when I was really at the darkest times or really struggling, I felt trapped on this earth. You know what I mean? I felt imprisoned here, and that is no way to live life. I think that's what leads to people, who commit suicide. I think they get to a place where they just see no purpose of existing anymore on this earth. And that's such a dark and just terrible place to be. And my thing, and what's important to me is living a life to where I don't feel like that anymore. You know what I mean? A purpose-driven life. And what does that look like? And how do I accomplish that? And what do I need to do on a daily basis in order to maintain that point of view? So there's things that I do in my life to where I don't lose sight of that. There's people that I talk to that pour into my life and tell me what I need to hear, that I can go to and be honest about, what's going on with me, and they have that role in my life. I've allowed them to have that role in my life. I trust them enough to where I know they're not going to share my secrets or this and that, and I can go to them and say, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. Vulnerability, honesty, those are things that I have to practice in my life on a daily basis in order to maintain this life where I see a purpose in being here, and that purpose isn't all about me. You know what I mean? It's about how can I help other people who may be struggling in this world like I was at one point. Right. So I don't know if that directly answers your question or not, but
it totally does. It directly answers my question, and it brought to mind what you said, a scripture that says men are and women are that they might have joy, and the purpose of this life is for us to have and find joy. The best way to do that is going to be from doing these challenging things. I mean, we have to work. That's part of life. We have to
Yeah.
create content in your case and in my case. We got to create content. And it seems like it's an easy thing, but it's a hard thing to do consistently. But I
Yes.
like what you said, because it's all about how can we find joy. That's the purpose of life, is really finding
Right.
joy.
And serving others and helping them
That's gonna
also
do it.
find that joy. And I think
Yeah.
that's what you're doing, Evan.
Yeah.
I know this podcast took a turn. Anyone who listens to it is probably thinking, all right, there's going to be some laughs in this podcast. There's definitely going to be some jokes. But it truly is inspiring, and that's what surprised me about your page when I'm scrolling through, and I'm like, I just watched a video. I thought I was going to be laughing the whole time, and now I'm just inspired. I want to go help somebody. So you're definitely serving your purpose on this earth, Evan. Like, it's huge. Like, you are inspiring a lot of people, and I hope that continues to grow. Like, I hope that grows even beyond what you think it might get to. I hope you have 100 million followers at some point, because I feel like people need to. Yes, they need to laugh, and people need to be inspired. And so you're one of those guys that's naturally inspiring. So we really appreciate even coming here on the podcast. Like, we appreciate you spending the time. We can tell that you're genuine. Your page is genuine. Everything that you do is genuine. Yeah. And so thank you for doing that. And especially thank you for giving us a laugh each day. Like, I can't wait for your next video. Give us a sneak peek as to what's coming up next. What do you have planned in there, man?
We're going to be back in the CrossFit gym on Sunday.
Nice.
So there'll be another beginner-style CrossFit video coming out Sunday evening. So look for that. It'll be good.
My favorite videos of yours are the ones where your belly's out. That's how I know it's going to be a good video.
Yeah.
I love how you talked about editing, because you do all your editing, which makes it even more funny. But how you zoom into your belly is the best.
Yeah, it's all about the
That's
angles. For sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us. And this has been an extremely valuable podcast. Not just with, obviously, the funny things that you said and shared with us, but also with the actual serious things that you shared with us, too. So thanks for your time, Evan.
Yeah. I'm honored to be a guest on here for sure. Thank you guys for asking me. And you guys have got, hands down, the best pickleball logo I've seen. I mean, you're
Appreciate
onto
that,
something
man.
with that
Taking
logo.
that to
I
the
love
bank.
it. That's really dope, man, for sure.
Appreciate that. One last thing. Let's remind the viewers real quick. So you are on Instagram. You're on TikTok as well.
Yeah, TikTok as well. If you search fit2serve on either platforms, you'll find me. I use the same profile picture with the sunglasses, but it's fit2serve1 on Instagram and fit2serve on TikTok.
Cool. Get out there and follow him. You guys will be inspired. And I guarantee, if you try not to laugh at one of his videos, I'm going to dare everybody that watches, try not to laugh. You will not succeed. Anyone who succeeds, I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
So,
I need help.
all right. Well, thanks again, Evan. Really appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on here. Thanks for inspiring us. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. So thank you.
Yeah, same to you guys, man, for sure.
Thank you. All right. Well, take care.